It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're scrolling Zillow again. You tell yourself you're just looking, but you're really calculating whether you can make this work, whether you're close enough, whether you're just being too cautious. Every house that doesn't look like it was last updated during the Reagan administration costs $1 million. And I'm not talking about mansions. I'm talking about 2,400 square feet with 4 bedrooms, a 2-car garage, and a backyard that's basically a patio with grass. The listing says move-in ready, which apparently means the appliances are from this decade. You and your partner pull in $280,000 combined. That's good money. Top 10% money. You got pre-approved for $1.1 million, and the bank wouldn't approve you for something you can't afford, right? So why does it feel like you're about to make a catastrophic mistake? Because getting approved for a loan and actually being able to afford the life that comes with it are two completely different things. $1 million mortgage doesn't make you a millionaire, it makes you a high-earning debt servant. And nobody is telling you the truth about what that actually does to your life. The poor mindset sees that pre-approval letter as permission. The wealthy mindset sees it as a warning label showing the maximum financial risk you can survive without defaulting immediately. My name's Rob, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and how it actually works. If you feel like you're doing everything right but still not getting ahead, subscribe and hit the like button. It genuinely helps. That pre-approval letter feels like validation, right? Like someone with a finance degree just confirmed you're successful enough to own $1 million home. Except, that's not what happened. A bank looked at your income and asked one question: how much debt can this person service without defaulting in year 1? Not, will they be happy? Not, will they have savings? Just, what's our maximum extractable payment before they break? The bank's risk tolerance and your ability to actually live a life are two completely different calculations. Here's what the algorithm doesn't know. You want kids, your spouse is burned out, and thinking about a career change. You have aging parents who might need help. You dream about starting a business someday. You hate your job, and the only reason you stay is the paycheck. The algorithm just knows that based on your current income and current debt, you can technically make a $7,000 monthly payment without breaching their risk threshold. But $1 million house doesn't cost $7,000 a month. That's only the mortgage, and nobody explains the rest until it's too late. You know what ruins everything? Your actual take-home pay. Everyone calculates affordability based on gross income, your pre-approval, the 28% housing rule, the number you tell people at dinner parties. But you don't pay your mortgage with gross income, you pay it with what's left after everyone takes their cut first. So let's run the real math. You're making $300,000 a year. That sounds rich. That sounds like we've made it money. Imagine 10 $30,000 stacks on a table. The IRS walks up and takes 3 before you can touch them. Your state takes another one. FICA grabs another one. Health insurance, 401k, gone. You're left with 5.5 stacks. You thought you made $300K, you actually live on $165K. That's $13,800 a month, not $25,000. And this is the number almost nobody uses when calculating whether they can afford a house. They're using the big number, the impressive number, the number that makes them feel successful. The wealthy think in monthly net cash flow, not annual gross income, because gross income is a vanity metric. Net monthly cash flow is what you actually have to work with. So keep that $13,800 in your head. We're about to see what happens when $1 million mortgage meets reality. You're buying $1 million house with 20% down. That's $200,000 cash you somehow accumulated. That leaves you with an $800,000 mortgage. At today's rates, around 6.5%, your monthly payment is $5,050 for principal and interest. You're thinking, that's only 30% of gross income. The bank's fine with that. I'm fine with that. Except, that's not what the house costs. You're at $5,050 for the mortgage. You think that's manageable. Then property tax shows up, add $1,167. Then insurance, another $500. Then you remember maintenance exists, tack on $833. Oh, and your HOA, $400 more. You started at $5,050. You're now at $7,950. And you haven't turned on a single light or bought a single gallon of milk. You're staring at $7,950 monthly and your stomach drops because you know exactly what's left of that $13,800 take-home. $5,850 remaining. Let's see what eats that. Transportation, 2 cars, insurance, gas, $1,780. Debt, student loans, $850. Health costs, premiums, copays, $800. Food, groceries, $1,200. Utilities, electric, water, gas, internet, phones, $550. You're at $5,180 in mandatory expenses before kids, fun, or emergencies. You've got $670 left. Now add kids, childcare, $2,000, activities, $400, clothing, $200, medical costs, $200, any form of entertainment, $300. You're not close. You're $2,400 short every single month, and that's assuming nothing unexpected happens. No medical emergencies, no job loss, no car accidents, no home repairs beyond that 1% we budgeted. You're not buying a house and a life. You're choosing between them. This is what house poor actually means. The payment consumes so much of your resources that you can't afford to actually live. You own it on paper, the bank owns it in reality, and your entire existence becomes about generating enough income to service the debt. The wealthy buy houses that leave $5,000 to $8,000 of monthly margin, not $670. Actual cushion, because they understand life is expensive and unpredictable, and the house is supposed to be the foundation of your financial life, not the ceiling that crushes everything else. You're thinking, we both have stable jobs, we're diversified, this is fine. Let me destroy that thought. 2 incomes doesn't mean twice the security. It means you need perfect health, perfect employment, and perfect endurance from 2 people simultaneously for 30 years. Think about what breaks that machine. One of you gets laid off. You just lost 40 to 50% of household income. Can you make a $7,590 monthly payment on one salary? No, you're immediately in crisis. One of you burns out, and you will because you're both working at capacity with zero margin, but burnout doesn't care about your mortgage. When it hits, that person needs to step back, but you can't afford that, so they stay and the resentment builds. One of you wants a career change. Too bad. The house requires this exact income. You're locked in. Pregnancy complications, postpartum recovery, aging parents who need help, health crisis, chronic illness, mental health breakdown. Here's the stat nobody wants to hear. Roughly 40% of dual-income households experience significant income disruption within 5 years of buying a home. And when you've bought based on needing both incomes at full capacity, any disruption is catastrophic. The wealthy buy houses based on the lower income. If one of you makes $180,000 and the other makes $120,000, they buy the house affordable on $180,000. The second income becomes an accelerator for savings and investments, not a structural requirement for survival. Because when you need both incomes, you've built a financial house of cards, and life is really good at blowing on houses of cards. So, let me show you what happens when you ignore all of this, when you tell yourself you're different, when you buy the house anyway because you're tired of waiting and everyone else seems to be making it work. Let me walk you through exactly what the next 3 years of your life look like. Month 3. First property tax bill arrives. Even though you knew it was coming, seeing $3,500 due immediately hurts. You pay it from savings, tell yourself it's fine. Month 6. Kids need new cleats, new clothes, activity signups are due. You're saying we can't afford that right now weekly. You hate the way your kids' faces look when you say it. Month 9. It's Sunday, 9 p.m. You're about to go to bed and you hear water running where it shouldn't be. The water heater is flooding your garage. You know this is $4,000 you don't have. Your emergency fund has $2,800 because you've been meaning to build it up, but there's never anything left. The rest goes on a credit card. You'll deal with it later. You always deal with it later. Month 14. Your spouse's year-end bonus doesn't come through. Company had a tough year. That was $15,000 you were counting on. Now you're just behind, perpetually behind. Month 18. Roof needs repair. Kid needs dental work. Car registration and insurance due the same week. Everything happens at once because that's what life does. You're juggling which credit card has room, which bill can wait 30 days, whether you can skip the 401k contribution this month. Month 24, you hate your job, actively hate it, but you can't leave because you need this exact salary. Your spouse is burned out too, wants to go part-time or freelance or literally anything else. You're both trapped, and you're starting to resent the house and each other. Year 3. You've gained weight from stress eating. You've stopped seeing friends because you can't afford to go out. You don't have hobbies anymore. Every decision is about money. Every conversation eventually becomes about money. You look at your neighbors and wonder if they're struggling too, or if you're the only ones. This is what it actually feels like to be house poor. It's not one catastrophic event. It's the slow suffocation of having zero financial margin. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. And the worst part, you can't even talk about it honestly, because you've already posted pictures of the house. You've already told everyone you made it. Admitting it was a mistake means admitting you failed. So you stay quiet, you keep making the payments, and you become an evangelist for the very decision that's destroying your peace of mind. The wealthy don't do this. They buy houses that preserve freedom, preserve options, preserve the ability to say yes to opportunities without calculating whether it'll break the budget. You want me to just tell you the number. Fine, here it is. If you're making $250,000 household and thinking you can swing this, you can't. If you're making $350,000 and feeling confidence, you're borderline. If you're making $500,000, congratulations, you can actually afford this house. Everyone else is either getting family money or signing up for financial torture.
Let me break it down. Using the 25% net income rule that wealthy people follow, you need to take home $31,800 monthly. That requires about $575,000 gross household income. Using traditional 28% of gross, you need $340,000 household income. Using the bank's maximum 43% debt to income, you need $220,000 minimum. But at that level, you're not comfortable. You're in survival mode. You're the people I just described, juggling bills and hoping nothing breaks. Only 2 to 3% of U.S. households earn $400,000 or more. Maybe 8 to 10% earn $200,000 plus, which means 90 to 97% of American households cannot afford a $1 million house by any reasonable standard. But people are still buying them. So who are these people? Some are making $400,000 to $500,000 plus in dual tech incomes, finance jobs, dual doctor households. They can actually afford it. Some got massive help, inheritance money, parents covering closing costs, family gifting $100,000. They're not buying it on income alone. Some have huge stock compensation that makes their W-2 look normal, but total comp is actually $500,000 plus. And some, a lot actually, are on financial suicide missions, making $230,000 to $280,000, stretching to the absolute maximum, betting on future raises that may never come. And I know what you're thinking, but my friend bought $1 million house and they only make $250K. Yeah, and you don't know their full story. You don't know if their parents gave them $150,000 for the down payment. You don't know if one of them has a trust fund. You don't know if they have $400,000 in stock options vesting. You don't know if they're drowning quietly behind their Instagram posts. You're comparing your internal financial reality to their external performance. Stop. If you're asking whether you can afford it, you can't. The people who can genuinely afford $1 million houses never ask. The math is obvious to them. They look at the payment, look at their income, and it's boring. It's not a stretch. If you're doing mental gymnastics to make it work, if you're telling yourself you'll grow into it, if you're banking on hypothetical future income, you can't afford it. Here's the hardest part. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that buying an impressive house was the same thing as being successful. You've tied your entire self-worth to owning an impressive house, and that identity is ruining your financial life. It's making you volunteer for debt you can't afford. It's making you compare yourself to people whose finances you don't actually know. It's turning you into a performer instead of a wealth builder. So here's what needs to die. The idea that the house makes you successful. It doesn't. Freedom makes you successful. Options make you successful. Sleeping at night makes you successful. The impressive house is a performance. It's what success looks like to other people. But wealth is what you keep in control, not what you owe. Wealth is having options. Wealth is sleeping at night. $1 million mortgage doesn't make you a millionaire. It makes you a high-earning debt servant. Your college friend just bought in that new development. Your coworker has the big house in the good school district, but you don't see their credit card statements. You don't see their savings balances. You don't see the fights they have about money at 11 p.m. Your parents bought a house at 28, and that house cost 2.5 times their income, and they had a pension, and housing prices increased slower than wage growth. Your situation is mathematically different. Their path is not available to you. You think you should be able to afford this by now because you've done everything right. You got the degree, the good job, the promotions, the savings. Society lied. Housing prices have grown 3 to 4 times faster than incomes for 30 years. What was normal for your parents is now a luxury for you. That's not your fault. That's structural. So here's the permission you've been waiting for, the permission nobody else will give you. You can rent longer. You're not throwing money away. You're buying flexibility and time to build actual wealth. You can buy a smaller house in a different neighborhood. Your kids will be fine. Successful people come from all kinds of neighborhoods. You can buy the $650,000 house instead and have margin in your life. Having breathing room is worth more than an extra bedroom. You can wait, build assets, grow your income, and buy the expensive house later when you can actually afford it comfortably. The wealthy bought the expensive house after building wealth, not as the method of building wealth. The house was the reward, not the strategy. You're not less successful for being realistic. You're more intelligent. You have 2 paths here. Path 1, ignore everything I just said, buy the $1 million house, and spend the next decade discovering I was right the hard way. Path 2, make one uncomfortable decision now that saves you from 1,000 uncomfortable months later. Buy at 60% of your approval amount. If you're approved for $1.1 million, buy at $650,000. Yes, it's a smaller house. Yes, it's a different neighborhood, but you'll have $3,000 to $4,000 of monthly margin instead of being $2,400 short every month. That's not settling. That's refusing to play a rigged game. Run the honest rent versus buy calculation. Take the difference between rent and the full cost of ownership. Invest that difference in index funds every month. Run the 10-year numbers. In many markets, you'll end up wealthier renting and investing than buying and being house poor. Look at different markets. If $1 million barely gets you in the door where you live, look at where $600,000 actually buys you a nice house. Geography is negotiable. Financial stability isn't. Wait and build assets first. Spend 2 more years renting, but build $250K to $300K in invested assets. Then buy a house you can comfortably afford. You'll have both the house and the wealth. Use the lower income only. If you're dual income, buy the house the lower earning spouse can afford alone. Use the second income for savings, investments, accelerating payoff. Don't make it structurally necessary. Here's the test. Can you afford this house if one income disappears for 12 months? If no, it's too much house. When that real estate agent pushes you higher, say, we're approved for X dollars, but our budget is Y dollars. You don't have to explain. You don't have to justify. They'll push back, but you're approved for more. But this is what houses cost here. You say, I understand. Our budget is Y dollars. Every dollar not trapped in an oversized mortgage is a dollar that can compound into actual freedom. I'm not telling you $1 million house is evil or that nobody should buy one. I'm telling you it requires $500,000 income to afford comfortably. And if you don't have that, you're not buying a house, you're buying 30 years of financial stress. The bank will approve you, your agent will encourage you, your parents will say you'll never regret it, but none of them are making your mortgage payment. None of them are lying awake when the furnace dies and you don't have $6,000 to replace it. None of them are trapped in a job they hate because they can't risk the income disruption. You are. So run your real numbers, not the numbers you hope for, the numbers based on what you actually take home, what the house actually costs, and what your actual life looks like. And if those numbers don't work, walk away. There is no trophy for buying a house you can't afford. The only win is making decisions based on math instead of pressure, reality instead of performance, your actual situation instead of what you wish it could be. You're not failing in adulthood, you're succeeding in honesty, and that might be the most valuable skill in personal finance.